practitioners are going to do the service. There's going to be a special Q&A from the practitioners. So we'll have 3 or 4 of them up here. You'll get to ask them questions about how to do affirmative prayer, how to deepen your spiritual life. So it'll be a fun day. Be sure to come. Well, my talk this morning is being divinely guided. Divinely guided. You know, we are not alone. We're valued. We're unique. And we're here for a purpose. There is no one better to do the job Spirit assigned you in your life than you. You are the expert at that. And what you're doing here is important and necessary. We have not been flung to the far edge of creation and left alone to struggle and muddle through. Because, you know, life and earth can be a challenging proposition at a time, to say the least. And with all the possibilities of pain and loss that's entailed in life, there also has to be great possibilities for wondrous growth and unity with Spirit. The risk may be great, but the reward must be glorious. Or we wouldn't have come here. We wouldn't have come here if the reward wasn't glorious. Now, there are other planes of existence, I feel certain, that is easier than life here on earth. But they don't offer the opportunity for growth as much as we have here. And I believe that growth comes from our being connected to Spirit. And if we don't have that connection, if we don't make that connection with Spirit in the here and now, where will we ever make it? Some people believe that we'll have total connection with Spirit when we are in the non-physical. That's true, but it's better we advance ourselves when we do our work here in the earth plane to make that connection. It will give us advancements when we do cross over into Spirit, when we grow into our greater selves. And we do that by looking and listening for the best opportunities for ourselves and each other. And when we see it for someone else, to encourage them. The more you encourage others, the more you'll receive encouragement. And if you don't act on that encouragement, Spirit, being divinely intelligent, will just seek another outlet. In Scripture, there's a funny little verse that says, God will harden your heart to it. And I think all that means is that we can get to a place where we no longer can see our good. And so we just ignore all possibility for our good. One of the great thinkers of our tradition, Raymond Charles Barker, wrote, "Science has proven the universe is an arena of intelligence, wherein if intelligence left to its own device will act and react intelligently." So our job is to figure out the best way to get it to act intelligently for the best part of our lives. That part that brings us more joy, love, health, prosperity, laughter, friendship, all the good things. And if we are doing that, if we're bringing greater life to life, then the universe cannot help but send us more opportunity. It cannot do otherwise. It would be like asking the crepe myrtles not to bloom. They've just begun to bloom if you haven't noticed. It's summertime and the crepe myrtles are going to bloom. They cannot do otherwise. As long as we breathe life into our best possibilities for ourselves and those around us, the universe cannot help but bring us greater opportunities. Infinite mind cannot act unintelligently. So when we give it an opportunity to respond intelligently in our lives for our good, it must do so. It must do so. It cannot refuse you just because you have never thought you were the daughter that you should have been, or just because you weren't able to muddle through the physics class in college, or just because of something you did with Jimmy Rocket in a gremlin behind the gym in 1977. It really wasn't that good with Jimmy, I'll tell you. So let it go. Spirit has long forgotten about it. You should as well. Jimmy may be holding on to it, but that's another matter. Now, none of those things matter as long as we provide an intelligent outlet for this energy in our lives. That which will make the world better. That which will make our lives better and the world better. And it can be small or large. Now, we may think the universe is, that we are limited, but the universe has never been limited. You think we may be limited, but the universe is not. And we have no business telling God how to bring our good to us. We often narrow down how we want the good to come in our life. It's got to be this job, this healing, this love. But God has the whole universe to bring your good to you. This past Friday, around lunchtime, I was thinking that our Friday evenings had gotten in kind of a rut. Friday evening at our house is frozen pizza and scary movie nights. And I like both frozen pizzas and scary movies, but we've been doing it for quite some time. And I thought, well, we need to somehow shake this up. Around 2 o'clock, I got a call from Tom. His boss had given him tickets to go see Boy George and the B-52s over the amphitheater. Yeah, great concert, totally packed. Here in St. Augustine, it was the start of their national tour. Here in St. Augustine, totally packed. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking around at the crowd, and it dawned onto me, 35 years or more, I had seen both of those groups perform, both George in Atlanta and the B-52s. At that time, I was thinking, we are all young, what were we doing? We were all bragging about what drugs we had been able to score, and we were all comparing our funky outfits. 35 years, we're still doing the same thing. But the drugs we're talking about are Nexium and Prolasex. And the outfits are knee braces and bifocals. The more things change. Now, we are an intelligent result of an infinite mind with purpose, in ways of intelligence to express itself as such. We were created with purpose and thought. That process that created us is available to us. And if you don't use it, you'll find another outlet. Some part of God is within us. And we can never get rid of it with all our fears, doubts, mistakes, and misgivings. And if we use it, it can create wondrous things for us. Things that will awe us. Things that will leave us amazed. Because that is what Spirit is wanting to do through you. Spirit is wanting to amaze you with the great good you can bring into life. The love and joy and happiness, the inspiration and encouragement that you can bring to life through your soul. This is what Spirit is wanting to do through you. We're given the entirety of mind for our use and for our distribution of its ideas into form. And Spirit's forms for your life cannot be anything but good. The ideas that you have that come to you for your love and health and joy and prosperity are God-ordained. There's power in them if you won't talk yourself out of them. In the book of Proverbs, it says, the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. That perfect day is our unity with our good. And moving forward in life with the understanding that everything is unfolding for our growth, even when we may not be able to see it. It's all unfolding for our growth in spirit and love and joy and understanding. As you follow your path, as you go along, more of it will open up to you. But you have to start moving. You have to start moving, and more will be revealed. The most dangerous place that we can get ourselves in is in that stuck place. When we're sitting at home with the frozen pizza and the scary movie. Because at that place, the Spirit can't provide you with the ideas for greater growth. And even when the ideas come, it's easy to discount them. This past week, I met two really amazing young people. They're in their 30s, and both of them were just really so brilliant. I was just kind of in awe with them. One of them is a young African-American lady who's taking over the Methodist church downtown, the Pumpkin Church, Grace United, I think it is. And she's going to be a dynamo. I was really thrilled to get the chance to meet her at the interfaith group. Now, most of the interfaith group is, of course, compiled of my dear Christian friends, and I love them all. I really do love them, and there's nothing but good in their heart. But two of them happened to express to her, and they reinforced it with each other, how frightened and fearful they were for her to be taking over this predominantly white church, that there was fear that they had for her. And I didn't say anything because I'm the New Thought minister, and I often bring up, contrarian concepts. But I wanted to ask them, why are you doing that? It would be like buying me a gift certificate to Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's no need for that. And it weighed on me so much that I had to send her a note, and I told her, I said, dear one, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. God has not brought you here to leave you, to abandon you. You are here to do wondrous and mighty and bold and great things. And don't take account of the past. Yeah, there's been horrible things that have happened here in St. Augustine. The Chamber of Commerce doesn't like to talk about it, but there have been some really terrible, violent things. But you know what? A new glorious day is breaking. She told me about, this is actually true. At one point, the African American community wanted to integrate the churches here in town, and people stood in the doorway, locked arm in arm with each other, and refused to allow them to pass. And she has congregants now whose parents and grandparents were part of that. And she was talking about, here now, I'm going to be their minister. And I said, that's no accident. It's no accident that you're going to be their minister. I said, 50 years ago, people stood armed in arm, locked against progress. But Spirit is calling you and calling them now to stand arm in arm and call for a better day, call for more compassion, call for more love, call for a greater understanding, call for community, the beloved community. And this is what we can bring about when we stand armed in arm. And dear friend, this is what you've come to this town to do. And Spirit won't ever betray you. Spirit won't leave you. Spirit is here guiding, protecting you. So I hope she, is able to take that in, and I'm sure she is. But I also want you to know that here in your life this morning, we all have an idea of something just that powerful. We all have a situation in our life that wants to bloom, but we've got to have the courage. We've got to have the faith. We've got to have the trust that we're not alone. And the way you start doing this is you start on small things in your life. You can't jump to the big things. You have to start with the small things. Do I do the laundry? Do I go to the gym? Do I call my sister? Actually, none of them sound like a good option. But which of those ideas give me more energy? Which one of those ideas gives me more hope for a better unfolding? And then to go with that. So we look for small guidance, the breadcrumbs along the way. In Scripture, it says it's a still small voice. A still small voice. I thought that I've used that verse several times, and I thought, well, why don't you look that up and find out what that's about? And it comes in the book of Kings, and it's a really kind of an interesting place. It's the prophet Elijah. And it comes after he's had a dramatic success. And the success that he had was he had gotten a contest with the prophets of Baal. The prophets of Baal had taken over Israel. And so he told these guys, he said, now come out, let's see who can get God to accept the sacrifice. So the prophets of Baal had their sacrifice over here. He set up his over here. And he told his people, he said, pour water on my sacrifice 7 times. 7 times pour water on it. And then he did a prayer. The Baal prophets couldn't get anything. He does a prayer. Lightning comes down and consumes the sacrifice. Then he has them go kill the prophets of Baal. You know, and he girds his loins. There's a lot of girding of loins in the Old Testament. I think if they'd had sensible underwear, they wouldn't have been so judgmental. Things would have gone better. But he girds his loins. He goes up to the mountaintop and he throws his face in the dirt. There's a lot of that too. And he's listening for the voice of God. And he can't hear the voice of God. It doesn't come in the earthquake. It doesn't come in the fire. It comes in the still, small voice. And so I was thinking, well, that doesn't really make sense. Here he's had this big, huge, dramatic success, but yet he can't hear the voice of God, and it's coming to him in a very quiet way. What does that mean? And it dawned onto me that what that means is that oftentimes we can clearly see the good for others, but for ourselves, it's muddled. You can tell someone else exactly where their good is defined, but you find yourself standing in the toothpaste aisle of Walmart wondering, do I go for the cavity or the whitener or the gum disease toothpaste? And you could just be muddled. So maybe if we start encouraging others, maybe if we start empowering others, inspiring others, maybe if we point others in the right direction, that voice will become louder for ourselves. Now, I don't mean going around telling people that you've heard from God what they should do. It doesn't have to be that direct. It can just be an encouragement. It can be a card. It can be a call. It can be a smile. It can be simple as a smile. My friend Bev, who's going through the chemo, she was in Atlanta, and she'd gone to the doctor and gotten a terrible, diagnosis that she was going to have to go through this real process. And all of a sudden, her life changed. And so she said she was coming home, and she said she was devastated. And she got caught in traffic, because that's what you do in Atlanta. You get caught in traffic. And she said a woman next to her in the car next to her just looked at her and smiled. And she said that smile alone brought her hope. Brought her, it's like, all right, there's still love. I can make this happen. The best insurance policy any of us can buy is to become that sort of person who makes people feel good for having been around. That's the best insurance. If we can encourage and inspire and give hope to people around us, we're going to be taken care of no matter what. There is unlimited possibilities to open to us when we open our hearts and our minds to the eternal truth, when we bring inspiration and hope and revelation and clarity to the world. So this week, my challenge for you is to go out as you touring around at St. Augustine. Not this week, but we really have a wonderful time coming up for the next couple of weeks. And as you're looking around St. Augustine, to notice all the crepe myrtles blooming. And when you see the ones that are blooming with the beautiful red, say to yourself, this is Spirit sending me an encouragement, an inspiration for my health, for my prosperity, for my love. And then when you see a bloom of white, saying, this is Spirit signaling to me that I should have more connection with my soul. And then when you see a purple bloom, you say to yourself, this is Spirit saying to me that I am connected in my soul to the very voice of God, that I am not alone, that I know that I have come to life to bring love to myself or people around me, to bring hope, to bring inspiration, and to bring an encouragement. And then link yourself arm in arm with those around you and say, we are loved. We are valued. We have something wonderful and amazing to accomplish in life, and Spirit is with us. Spirit is encouraging us. Spirit is inspiring ourselves every step of the way. And to know this for ourselves, to proclaim it for one another, this is the great good that we can bring to life. And when we do, the very windows of heaven will open up wide and rain down to us every blessing, every miracle of love, of health, of joy, of happiness and prosperity, because that is what God had in mind when it called you by name from stardust. And it is with you this morning, calling you on, urging you on to be the best that you can be, because that's the God part of yourself. That's the strong part of yourself. That's the part that has all the energy of the universe running through it. And it's what you are here to do and to be and to see. This is the truth in your life this morning. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.